So my plan right now is to go ahead and I guess just start cleaning this up, maybe pull the radiator, some of the other loose stuff that's sitting in there, and then I'm not gonna try a whole lot here, but if I can get the engine to turn over, maybe we'll mess with it. But if I can't get it to turn over, I think I'm just gonna start getting it ready to pull out and then start taking some of the front sheet metal off here. All right, got the radiator out, battery tray out, some other small little things and whatnot. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit so it's easier to access. And believe it or not, the trans lines on the bottom of the radiator actually broke loose, which is a good sign. So now I'm gonna take the old jack handle here, use as much leverage as I can, and see if we can't get this thing to turn over or not. 2, 3. Well, the balancer spins with the pulley. Let's take a look at the rockers here. Oh, I see one moving. I was not expecting that to happen. Well, that's kind of cool. It's actually getting easier and easier the longer I go here. Next step here is to get the carb off because I want to go ahead and get this linkage freed up. I tried to get it freed up on here and I just didn't want to hit it or anything. It's been soaking for a few days in PB Blaster or anything, so I got it all unbolted. Let's see if we can't pry this up a little bit, try to pop it off. It's gonna be difficult to do one-handed. There we go. Okay. Ooh, not horrible. Still gas in it. Or actually that was probably, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was water. Yeah, definitely water. Okay, let's see if we can get this linkage here unstuck. Now that I know that the engine actually turns over, I think I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot of trying to get this thing fired up. So went ahead and made a list of a few things I think I need. We got the list over here. Definitely needs plug wires because the ones on it right now are cut in half. Why? I don't know. Need a battery. I would use the one out of the Duster, but the issue is if that thing gets below 12.5 volts because of the terminator on it, it won't start again. Yeah, terminator ECU, I guess, doesn't start under 12.5 volts. Already found that out the hard way, so I'm not gonna risk it. I'll just have to go pick up a cheap battery. Change the oil because right now it is a mix of water because I power washed it, probably like no oil and a bunch of gunk. I got to get the carb freed up or get another one. I'm thinking I'm gonna gotta get another one because this one here is all sorts of seized up. I could not get it to move the other day. I had this whole thing soaking in a bath of PB Blaster and then some gas. So hopefully between all those things we can go ahead and, with any luck, I don't know, just get this thing to fire for the heck of it. Why not? Well, this is slightly sketchy as there are no frame rails left in this car. But between two jack stands and the jack up here, should be good. Let's see if we can get this. That was not tight whatsoever. Okay. Let's see what, oh, that's just water. Okay. Oh. It just smells like pee, Jesus. Also looks like it too. I hope it's water. Where did I put the drain plug? Oh God. She got overflowed. Shoot. Okay. I think I dropped the drain plug in there. God, it smells like a friggin' lake. No balls. There it is. Yep, I knew I dropped it in there. Well, at least it's not oil. Oh, just got a face full of piss water. Oh. There's a little bit of oil. Very little. Oh. There we go. Milkshake, yum. now that I cleaned up all that mess, it is time to make another mess here and put some, let's just say, fresher oil in it. I just did an oil change on that thing, and because I'm cheap and I just want to see if this thing will even run, we're putting the old oil from the duster in this. So let's see if we can do this one-handed without making a mess. Still hot. Oh yeah, that looks fresh. We are making a mess. Okay. So dumping oil into the heads there probably wasn't the best idea. So we have an even better idea. This contraption here, which I would show you how it works, but I have to flip it upside down to use both hands to do it. But we're pumping oil through down to the dipstick tube to get oil in this engine. Otherwise it would overflow the heads there. So if that's not some serious ingenuity, I truly don't know what is. You may be asking yourself, why are you doing this? Why don't you just wait till you get valve covers? Well, you see, all that water and oil mixture that came out of the engine has to go somewhere, because I can't just have it sitting in this pan here. So I gotta get that oil jug empty so I can toss that in there to take that to the store to get rid of it. So I need to use this oil to put it in the engine. It's all part of a plan that I have exactly dialed in right here, trust me, exactly. And jumping around doing other things on the car while I'm kind of waiting for parts for the engine here, but I'm down to 3 things that I need. Battery, plug wires, and a carb. So went ahead, picked up cheapest battery Menards offers here, so hopefully that's got enough amps to crank this big block over. And then I got plug wires on the way, should be here tomorrow. And then I ordered a carb off eBay. So I don't know what really shape it's in, if I kind of got to do like a quick little cleanup rebuild deal. I mean, I just want to see if this thing will fire. So those are our last 3 things. I think I'm gonna go ahead, toss the battery on right now and see if I can get this thing to bump over just for the heck of it while I'm waiting. For the heck of it, let's just try it with the key. See if it does anything. Definitely won't, but why not? Starter works. So now that I got all the parts for the engine and everything, want to go ahead and just start it just for the heck of it. Obviously didn't start right off the bat. And we obviously got air, so now we just need fuel and spark. Fuel I'm not too worried about because I'm just gonna dump some straight in the carb. I think the fuel pump is good, but the rod, like the push rod that pushes up and down between the cam and the pump, that's stuck. So it's either wedged up against the cam or wherever it goes to, it is stuck in there. That's supposed to drop out when you take the fuel pump out. So not a big deal. That may have been the issue with the engine and why the owner parked it. Who knows, he couldn't remember. But now the next thing we need here is spark. So I was on the phone with my dad. We were trying to figure this out over the past hour or two. We ran a bunch of tests and everything. So we know the coil here is good. We know the points are good. We found top dead center, set that and everything. I just threw a new set of points in it. These were the old ones, which look very clean. If this thing would focus, that would be sweet. These look pretty new. And I'm gonna assume these are the original ones, but hey, they were in there. Just threw a new set in there because I had some sitting in the toolbox of that thing, and obviously I don't need them for that thing anymore. It's from the slant. So went ahead, tossed them in. Distributor is all set and everything is right. And then we were doing the test where you put the plug, well, at first it was a screwdriver and the first plug wire here, trying to get a spark gap onto this. That wasn't working, so tried it with the actual plug itself. Got no spark with that. So I mean, sanded it down in between the end of the electrode here and everything, and still no spark. So I'm gonna go ahead, get some new plugs, at least one, just so I can test it to see if I can get a spark between that gap. But once we get spark, this thing should hopefully fire here. So I mean, we know the primary side of the ignition is good, the secondary side is good. Tested both those things there. You can see this is my little test light here. This is out of the taillight harness because my test light is actually broken right there. So I cut it out, spliced it onto the coil here, and yeah, was using this as my test light. So hopefully tomorrow I can figure out why this thing isn't getting any spark, but it's close. It's close, and I got faith that this thing should fire up once we get some spark in this thing, because it turns over freely now. You can hear it's got compression and got pretty much all the pieces. It's It's gonna be something simple and it's gonna be something easy, but it'll be sweet once I hopefully get it figured out here. All right, I can't make some things up, and this is too funny not to share. Remember how I was saying we didn't have any spark? Yeah. You know where this was the entire time I tested this thing for spark? Not in there where it's supposed to be. It was right here on the inner fender. I just tested this for like the past half hour. Are you kidding me? This is hilarious. But hey, also good now that I know that was our issue. Sweet. Well, let's find out if we have spark now. Everything is hooked up. Just gotta adjust this here. Moment of truth, I guess. Following morning here, I just went through and kind of cleaned up, I guess, all the wiring, put new wires to the coil, and then I put a new wire from the distributor to the coil and just kind of tied everything up. Also got the spring for the carb here, so that's cool. Found the bracket, so that's all bolted up and situated. Got a shut-off switch for the coil here because this is going to be my only way to give the engine power and to shut it off, so I figure that's probably the safest route to go. Just put fuel in the carb, so I think I'm going to give it a shot, crank it over, and I don't know, see what happens. Yeah, gas in the carb, fire extinguisher, and a welding blanket to smother it in case anything happens. Let's hope to God nothing crazy does happen here. I need my screwdriver to jump the old starter relay here, some ether. Okay, turn power on. Hey, carb sprays fuel. That's good. I'm gonna assume that's part of our issue. This is the worst one so far. I got about half the plugs out going through, just rubbing some sandpaper through them. Finish up the rest here and see if it makes any difference. Alright, took me a while. Got every single plug out, cleaned it, ran sandpaper through it, brake cleaner, double checked firing order. Should be good. I'm actually gonna put more gas in it first because I think it's a little low now. Let's do that. So I really don't want to go out and buy a whole new set of spark plugs because not necessarily cheap, and I don't really want to buy a new starter because I don't think that's the problem, but for some reason this thing is not getting enough power. We got fuel, got air, got spark, I just don't think enough of it. So as a last resort here before I go buy new plugs, I'm going to jump it with the duster while the duster is running. Hopefully that'll give this battery enough power because just off this battery alone, it was kind of spitting and sputtering it a little bit. It's like it almost wanted to go, and then I think the battery was just kind of slowly dying out. So we'll try this to see if it does anything. Will not move literally whatsoever. I've spent probably, I don't know, 30-45 minutes trying to get it to move. It's somehow corroded to the block or something is messed up with the cam or the gear that it's on. It will not move, and I wanted to advance it a little bit, so I moved all the plug wires one over. I think it's advanced right now. Might have retarded it. We'll find out though, see if it does anything here. Be smart to have power to the coil. Well, it was close the other way. I had to manually advance what I think was advancing the distributor because it literally won't move. It's like corroded to the block for some reason. tried forever to try to get it loose, nothing. So I thought I advanced it, moved all the plug wires one spot over, which, like I said, should be advancing it in the direction that it turns. Still did nothing, so I went back to the original, and then what I think I did was retarded it, but maybe that's advancing it. I mean, it could have been 180 off. We'll find out here. That's what I'm kind of hoping for at this point. So I advanced the plugs by tube now, because I still can't rotate the distributor. See if this does anything different. To. Yeah, damn. We have a new strategy this time. To not catch my eyebrows on fire would be a good start. And I moved the plugs 2 back instead of 2 forward, because obviously it was backfiring there. Some of the timing is way off. I don't know. Let's try this. Is driving me insane. Friggin' insane. All I want you to do is fire up for 5 seconds so I can put it in the video. So I moved the plugs 180 because I thought it was set at top dead center, but I could have been wrong. I don't know. I'm just trying things at this point before I call it. So let's find out if this does anything. Jesus. Okay, maybe onto something? I don't know. Come on, die out. So I've been struggling with the timing on this and trying to get spark. That's the only thing why it's not running, at least the only thing I think. So I'm taking further steps here and tearing into this more, but can we talk about this ingenuity for my balancer puller here? This is a steering wheel puller that someone gave to me for free, I don't know, like a year or 2 ago. Never used it. And then this little piece here, I didn't have the correct threads or big enough, I don't even know what you call it, I guess, bolt to go into the crank. So I put the stock bolt back in there, and friggin' believe it or not, this is actually working. And heck yeah, look at that. Now I can take timing cover off and we'll see if the timing's ain't jump timing at all. So yeah, after all that time trying to get this thing to fire and getting pretty close, having it backfire here in compression, spending time and money on a carb, plug wires, plugs, and some other little stuff, just decided to kind of call it quits and pull it out. I need it out of the way in order to do more sheet metal work. It's a lot easier to move the car around. And I just was kind of sick of dealing with it. This engine is not going back in the car. I just want to get fired up for the video here, but obviously that ended up not working out. So my dad went ahead and took it home after we got back from Mo Party. We loaded it in his truck. Here you can see him unloading it, and then he went ahead and started pulling it apart just to see what the heck was locking this thing up out of nowhere.
Well, there's no big pieces missing from the bottom. Everywhere looks fine. I don't know what's jammed up. I was hoping like a rod would be broken, or weird thing to say, I know, but I don't know what the heck, why it won't turn. What is broken, what is seized, I do not know. It broke free for a KL, spinning over a bunch, but it is just locked now.
Even this massive breaker bar will not turn this thing over. So went through the bottom, nothing obvious.
So it's gotta be something in the cylinder, so we're taking down the top of that here and see what we find.
So that's the pan. Some interesting stuff in there. No metal, just a bunch of crud. So we'll see what's next.
So that's where we're at. Pistons 4 and 6 were completely seized in there. Once I got those two out, the crank spins pretty freely. You spin it by hand, which is cool. If I can show you. Yeah, it just spins by hand. So it was just cylinders, rust smashed in there. Everything's good on the crank. The crank spins like butter. These journals are good, but number 8 is pretty bad. Had a pretty bad rod knock would be my best guess. And that's probably why they parked it. So we'll see what's next here. Okay, since this is my first Chrysler, what I learned is that you can crank this oil pump all day long and no oil is going to come up through those rocker shafts until the cam lines up with the passages in the cam and fan bearings that pump oil through the head. So yeah, you got to turn the motor over, but then once you do, you start cranking this, oil flows pretty darn easily up through there. So we've got great oil pressure up on this side. Only after I took the pump apart and packed it full of some petroleum jelly, put new gaskets and O-rings on it because I thought maybe I was cavitating the pump, but and apparently I wasn't pumping any oil. So then that started, once I did that, sucked oil up from the oil pan, pumped it up here. So now I just got to turn it over a little more and get the driver's side rockers to make a mess of oil. We'll be back. So this here is the homemade Mopar oil priming tool. It's just a 5/16 Allen key cut off, welded onto some thread rod, throw a couple 11/16 nuts on there, put your speed handle on it, slides right in there, engages beautifully, and doesn't take much to get oil pressure on it. So we got oil pressure on both sides, oil pressure throughout. The oil pressure transducer was actually had a little hole in it, so it was leaking, so I took it out, just put a little pipe fitting in there with an A-end fitting to cap it off, and should be good enough to make this thing run. So drop the distributor in, plug up the trans, because the torque converter is also the starting ring engagement for the flex plate, so we need that. And plug off these vacuum lines, run a fuel line from the pump, which appears to work, drop in the distributor, put on the coil, and we should make some noise. So you're probably saying, boy, we've got everything in this garage, and you know, we're about to fire up that 383 Chrysler and see if that thing actually works out of Kale's Charger. But you're like, probably have an awesome test stand, right? Yes, we do. Silverado, strapped down, ready to go. We'll see what in the world can happen here. If this actually works, if it doesn't, we're gonna give it a shot.
Attempt number 4,003,000.
Is that a good video?
Indeed.
this was the test stand. Battery mounted there. A little starter going there. Made sure we had spark. Had a gas can hooked up to here, but this fuel pump wasn't pulling anything. But everything else worked pretty good. The carb just is kind of junk. Doesn't do anything. Didn't take it apart. We just slapped it on there. Kale got it off eBay or something. And yeah, weak spark, no fuel pump. The starter is probably on its last leg, but heck man, it worked and it ran, and it sounded pretty good, so good stuff. Okay, so to get this thing running, we tried to get it running, or Kayla tried to get it running in the charger, but it cranked for a little bit, then it stopped cranking, so something locked up. We put a pretty big breaker bar on it, couldn't get it to turn over. So we decided to pull it and bring it home, took it apart, and really found that the walls were just, cylinder walls were just full of rust, and a couple times up and down with the rings, and it just kind of packed it all in tight. So popped them out, Scotch Brighted the cylinder walls, wire wheeled the pistons and the rings, picked up a couple of gaskets, cleaned everything, put it back together, and lo and behold, it started up. We'll give some video of it starting, just sitting in the test stand there. Got a eBay carb that, it kind of worked. The starter's on its last legs. The spark is kind of weak, and the fuel pump doesn't really work, so we'll have to manually fill up the carburetor. But that's okay. But it's kind of a good thing that the car attempts starts did not work, because if Kale would have got this thing started in the car, the biggest problem was this lovely pan here. There was a mouse nest on there, and obviously that's the valley pan. And through that big rust hole, the mouses had taken most of the car's interior and packed it in the lifter valley. So if this thing would have even started in the car, all that would have done was pump all that interior stuffing, cotton, and mouse nest into the motor, and probably trashed it. So kind of a good thing that that happened. Motor's not in great shape, but you'll see it run here shortly.
So there we have it, 383 runs after sitting and neglected for 39 years. That's a friggin' long time. Obviously, it would have been a lot cooler to have the thing fire up in the car right here. I think that would have been neat to see, but oh well, the ring has decided to not let that happen, which I guess is a slight problem. Obviously, it won't let it turn over, so oh well. Thanks to my dad for spending the past month pretty much just kind of tearing into that thing, kind of just doing a quick and dirty rebuild, I guess, slapping new rings in it, some other new little parts, cleaning it up and everything. Basically enough just to get it to see if we can get it to fire here, because why the heck not? The engine is not trashed, but it would need a lot in order for it to go into something or be put to use again. It was pretty torn up, so pretty sure number 8 had a pretty bad rod knock, and that is why the guy parked it back in 1983. So that begs the question for two things now. What is going to be the next engine for the Charger here, and what is the plan with the 383? Start off with the 383 here, because that's going to be a much shorter conversation. I got a couple ideas with it. Right now it's just going to sit as is in my dad's garage back home until probably I get a bigger place out here, or at least an actual garage. That would be sweet. And you know, maybe I'll do a little build series on that. Maybe we'll build it up to a 440 stroker, just something simple, kind of basic, make some good power, get another project, toss it in that. I don't really know. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in it, which is probably going to be hard for people to understand, or at least weird for, I don't know, me to say. But yeah, it's a Mopar big block, but I don't know, it just doesn't interest me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't hate it, I just don't like absolutely love it. I don't know. Maybe I'll come to like it a lot more once I actually start working on it or find a project to put it in. But that's kind of the plan for right now. It's up in the air, but I think I'm definitely gonna hang on to that, because why the heck not? And now, the moments we all have been waiting for. What is the engine for the Charger? I have absolutely no idea. Like, zero clue what's gonna go in this thing or end up in it. Yeah, I can't make up my mind. There are so many options. majority of them are very, very expensive, so that's playing a huge factor into it. But the other factor is I don't know what would fit this car right based upon what my plans are. One idea I have been tooling around with over the past month and have kind of been researching and thinking a lot about over the past few weeks actually is, what if I did kind of like a budget Hellcat or like a Hellcat killer, so, you know, start off with the Gen 3 block and basically build that up to make the same amount or more power than a Hellcrate, because that would be the dream engine for this thing. I mean, that would be pretty freaking sweet. You know, build it up to the same amount of power or more for less than half the cost, because right now I don't have $29,995 that I can go drop on a Hellcrate, and I probably won't for a while. So that's one idea I've been thinking of. I think that a lot of people would be interested in that, to see, you know, how to do it. I'm sure people have done it before, but I just think it would be neat, maybe from my perspective or my point of view or something. I don't really know, just kind of thinking out loud here. Could do another LS. I've done that right here though, so I don't necessarily want to copy and, you know, paste, but kind of want to do something different. I'm thinking a 5.2 Coyote would be pretty epic, just because I love the way those things sound, and I think it would look good in here. Well, at least what's going to be left of here based upon my plans when I'm done with it. So lots of options. Could do something old school, really leaning towards something new school, just for so many reasons. There's so many, I think, cooler options, and I don't know, something's gonna end up in here, but I need to start thinking about it soon, because like I said, probably cut, mock-up block, suspension. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot going on up here, but as of right now, got a lot to do towards the back of the car sheet metal wise, so that's gonna be the next plan, next few videos, and then just keep on chipping away on this rust repair here, because as you can see, it is never ending on this car. So lots to do, lots to think about, lots to make happen, and appreciate everyone watching this video. It has been filmed over the past 3 months, and I appreciate my dad filming stuff at home and working on the engine so I can kind of complete this video. That was kind of the whole point of that, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.